So this is quite, I think, a hard one to start with. A hard one, if you will.
It is a hard one because we said, Adam, we don't want to pull any punches. We want to kind of put down our marker early that we're going to make it difficult for ourselves, basically.
And we're both big fans of Uncharted.
We are, that is correct, yeah.
Both big fans of Gears of War.
Indeed.
And we both have a very, very large affinity for BioShock, the series generally.
Massive, yeah. An infinite affinity.
Very good. And the second game itself. And the thing is, we're not talking about those games. We're talking about the first game in each of those series.
And that's something that we have to take into account massively with regards to this. Now, there's no real set in stone kind of a game has to have replayability. It has to have great graphics. It has to have X, Y, and Z. These are just, I mean, it's basically our list to do with as we see fit.
Yeah.
If you want to, we can take into account their how they've kind of held up over time, or how they were received at the time, or how we felt about them at the time, X, Y, and Z, or
I think there's the big argument to be made here. The three games here that we're talking about is 1, Uncharted 1, and BioShock 1. All kind of revolutionised their own genres in certain ways. So Gears of War, for example, I think is an important place to start because at the time that came out, it was visually phenomenal. It blew everyone away. Like, you couldn't believe it. It was, people look back, say how brown and dark and grim it is, but it was.
But at the time, 2006, people were astounded by how it looked.
I mean, and I know, I'm sure people will say this. I know it didn't invent the active reload or the cover, but it did popularise it and did it very, very well. And I think many games. I mean, I can't even think when Gears 1 came out, but many games.
2006.
2006. So
if you listened to me, I said it a minute ago.
Sorry, I apologise. But 10 years on, people are still doing the cover shooter, the active reload stuff. That's not to be taken lightly.
Without a doubt. I think the fact that the pop cover was originally, like, alright, okay, as you say, yeah. It was originally in a game called Kill Switch, which came out, I think it was like 3 years previously. But Gears took that idea and kind of, I suppose, built a better game around this mechanic and hence popularised it. Like, it cannot be disputed how historically significant Gears of War is in this era, Adam, 10 years after the fact of it being released, that it's kind of derided by a lot of people. Some people just kind of look at Gears and really turn up their nose at it and go, it's just muscly bound men.
But I think that's often shows you how popular something's become, because it becomes popular and it turns itself all the way back around, and the cool kids want to hate on it because they're not there anymore. It's not cool anymore, and I'll always have a place in my heart for all the Gears games. And I know Gears 1 was bettered by 2 and 3.
Yes.
Forget Judgment. But when you played like Ultimate Edition on Xbox One, I found it to be such a wonderful walk down memory lane. Like, I really enjoyed it. I reviewed that game and I didn't have to really complete it because it's Gears. You kind of make sure it is what it is, but nonetheless I did. I wanted to, and I finished it, and I was pleased I did. And I think that's a game that stands the test of time. Now, on that similar note, Uncharted, I didn't play the what was it called, Drake Collection.
Nathan Drake Collection, yeah.
I would like to, just time was a factor for me at the time. But I would imagine that same thing happened for other people. Like, people would have played through it thinking, I was going to look at a bit of one to see how it's aged. But I feel like Uncharted, what Gears maybe did for the mechanics, Uncharted did for the visuals.
Yes, like the original Uncharted obviously kind of set mainly in with a kind of a jungle backdrop. Like, whereas Gears obviously very kind of brown, even though still looking. Like when you look at those Locust character models and everything, like at that time, they were excellent.
See, I would say, I don't want to interrupt you. I would say that I don't think you and I need to go back and forth on the visuals of Gears, because I think while there are people perhaps watching that don't like how it looks and moan about how brown it is, you and I aren't there. So we're debating against each other. We both feel the same way.
That's true. Yeah.
It's really pointless us going, but this...
We agree, it's fine. Looks very good. It's a good looking game.
And Uncharted also looks very, very good.
It does. See, 2 of these games among this 3, I played after the fact. I full disclosure, I have to let you know that at home. But, so, like, the original Uncharted, at that time, had a very special place in my heart because I played it I think it was only about 12 months after it kind of came out or something along those lines. Like Gears I played much later, BioShock I played much later.
Okay.
So for that very reason, the kind of the visuals of an Uncharted wowed me a lot more than say Gears or BioShock did. Because and the reason I stress visuals is because I think mechanically Uncharted is the weakest by a country mile.
Yes, because we are talking Uncharted 1.
One, that's all we're talking here.
And although the other games built on it, if you play the original, not the remaster, the actual original game, there's a reason that the remaster, they tweaked a lot of stuff that they took from the other games. There's a reason they updated the controls.
To be fair, like, I mean, the Ultimate Edition, Gears Ultimate Edition did it as well.
It did the same, but I think that's fair. I would agree with you. And I think what we have to be cautious of here is that this is a list of the best games of all time. Not the best games series is.
Yes,
we
yeah.
can maybe do that, but not for a while. But the point is, Uncharted was bettered by 2 and 3, as was Gears. But the core of Gears, while tweaked and nuanced ways, stayed the same.
And I think better than Uncharted. And and BioShock is the same. And look, wait, let's look at the elephant in the room here. BioShock. I mean, Adam Cook.
Yeah, that game is a special place in my heart because I remember the demo dropping on Xbox 360, and I don't remember where I was or what I was doing, but I remember rushing home around lunchtime. I don't know how I knew because I think it was before the days of Twitter, certainly before the days of Twitter being big, that I remember rushing home and getting that download played just in time before I had to leave and go back to wherever it was I was going. And I do remember, because it was the opening of the game. I remember that. I'm sure it was the opening of the game where you went down in the bathysphere and went into Rapture. And I remember, I've always had a certain affinity for sort of the underwater thing. Like I always find it very fascinating to watch. Some maybe would say morbid, but to watch, say, like deep dives of the Titanic and to look at how it kind of just it's lost to time.
Well, I suppose whereas like the underwater. Going in an interesting direction here, but the depths of the sea is something that we have not done yet, but because I suppose we don't have the equipment to do so. But it like you have so much to discover that we haven't yet in the kind of the bottomless pit that is the ocean. But, and Rapture kind of, I suppose, shows it, well, in a kind of a stylized fashion, shows a bit of that. Like, this is an idealized world, the idealized world of Andrew Ryan, Rapture, who wanted to create this utopia, and it's just been engulfed now in water.
The thing is like I say, I have this affinity for watching. Like, I wouldn't go out of my way to, but if a program was on, channel hopping and you see they're diving, and as you say, it's kind of like the jungles. There's so many species of X or Y that we have not yet discovered because just the law of averages and numbers means, there are things we don't know. And it just fascinates me, that whole idea. So, although you could go to space in a game, I'm sure we'll cover like Dead Space or
Mass Effect,
all those, yeah.
There's a few games set in space.
We could do a spin-off. You go to space, and because it's kind of a given that in space, you know what I mean? Space. We've mapped this amount of it, but with the underwater, like you or I could go into the sea with diving equipment and go under it, and yet there's so much under there we don't know. And the idea that someone like Andrew Ryan, I mean, with BioShock, I'm a sucker for twists. I should say now, too. Spoilers. If you've not played the first BioShock,
I mean, come on, like, it was 2007.
It was some time ago.
It was a bit ago.
Now, if someone watching this wants to put in the comments, I saw it coming.
Bullshit.
No, you didn't.
Bullshit.
That moment, I won't forget that moment. There are few games in that list, and I get spoilers for Final Fantasy VII. The moment where, do you know what? Just in case she dies, means nothing to you. I know you're. How we're going to.
I'm aware of what happens.
It's cultural, isn't it? At that point, there are few moments in games. I mean, can you think of any? I mean, Metal Gear Solid, the controller boss.
Yeah.
There are moments in truly special games where you will never forget them. We played one very recently. like at the time of recording, we can't say what it is, yesterday.
Yeah.
That I will never, ever forget.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
And I look at Gears, and while I love that series, I can't. I can think of a moment in the second game.
I can think of a moment in the second game. I can think of a moment in the third game.
But the first,
I can't think of a moment in the first one, and I think that stands for Uncharted as well.
I agree. Yeah.
I think I don't. I think both series improved as time went on.
Absolutely, but because technology and games in general, improved.
And it's very much a like BioShock is, I think, whilst Uncharted for blockbuster bombast, all that, kind of maybe pushed forward that type of video game. Gears mechanically was just exceptional and really kind of revolutionized the third person shooter in an era where first person shooter was king. It's arguable that third person never really kind of.
No, but I know you and I
went past
I think prefer third, which is ironic given how much we're talking about BioShock.
But BioShock, in terms of that twist, did we even? I know you gave spoilers, but I don't think we actually mentioned what it was.
Would you kindly?
Would you kindly?
Was phenomenal because, and again, if you said you saw it coming, you're a liar. You didn't see it coming, unless you're Ken Levine and you wrote the game, right? Yeah. In that case, you didn't see it coming. It doesn't matter. But forget about that. Even that really cool moment. The creativity of the enemies, the splicers. The little sisters, the big brothers. The big brother! How iconic! I mean, yeah, Marcus Phoenix, big man, but the big brother is that's a fearsome enemy. And they tried.
Even the big daddies as well.
What did I say?
Big brother.
Yeah, big daddies.
It's fine.
I'm thinking of the big sister or whatever it was from 2, and I'm trying to conflate the two because I was going to say they tried to recapture the big daddy
in 2
by having the big sister or whatever. I can't even be sure what I think it was big sister.
Memory's a bit sketchy when it comes
to But you corrected me on the Big Daddy thing.
But the Big Daddy is such...
It's a monster.
That is such an exceptionally designed... far be it from me to... I don't think it's up there with actual cultural characters that had the necromorph from Alien
Xenomorph.
Xenomorph.
1-1 for those keeping score. Yeah, the Xenomorph. Yeah.
Well, it is still within the world of video games.
I would have a statue. I actually don't. I have a lot of figuring. I like my little gaming toys, and I'm not ashamed of that. I mean, you can probably see some where Colum's sat right now, but I don't have a BioShock Big Daddy, and I would. If someone said, "Here's a BioShock Big Daddy," I mean, in fact, I believe there was a special edition with that. I don't know if that was 1 or 3, or 2 rather. It would have to be 2.
Not sure. Yeah.
I think we're beating around the bush a little bit, and I think it's very clear of these 3 which is number 1. I mean, I certainly think, in my mind, I know which one. And
we haven't even spoken about people. Adam, I'm gonna get cross here now, right?
Please do.
But people give out about BioShock as a shooter, and I wholeheartedly disagree with these people.
Totally.
It's BioShock is. But Adam, BioShock is the best game of these 3, alright?
It is.
Because of the fact, I mean, it's so many things here. Story-wise, it's a horror game as well in many ways.
Yeah, that moment when the splicer at the beginning is the first one you meet and it's crawling around the ceiling.
Dearie
and you
me.
just stepped out into basically alien world.
Yeah.
Because you're underwater. Yeah. It's a bad shooter if
you take out the plasmids.
If you say it's a first-person shooter. If you say it's a traditional first-person shooter, Call of Duty, where you look down sights, it's a bad shooter.
Yeah.
It's not that.
Yeah.
None of the 3 games are that. It's a single-hand shooter with plasmids. And the idea, the whole idea, I felt, of BioShock Infinite as a plasmid is you throw lightning at someone as they walk through water. In a world where games are trying to be inventive and about the way they do things, like Quantum Break, a game I played recently, where it does, it will do something like. If you go to something too soon, the character you're with will react to the fact you've already seen it, rather than go, "Hey, go watch that thing."
Yeah.
She'll say, "You've already watched it." And so, in the ways that games are trying to be clever about the way they create things. Back then, you'd see an enemy walking through water and think, "Lightning plasmid." That was way ahead of its time.
Big time.
And the idea is that you would do that. Then the gun was to finish them off.
It's a terrific game. Like I even said that I played this much after the fact.
How far after the fact, out of interest? Like, because to me it was amazing because at the time. So if you're talking 6 years later,
there or thereabouts.
I mean, it's the top game on this list.
I had stayed away from the Atlas Frank Fontaine, and you know what? Actually, now this is. I shouldn't let it cloud my judgment, Adam. But look, this is our list, right? Yeah, as an Irishman, do you know what's so? Do you know what's so nice? That Atlas is an Irishman. And that's it. He's just from Ireland, and that's it. Like
I can hear him.
Like he and what's amazing is that he isn't. Oh
no! I literally hear. Would you kindly? I can hear the.
Not a bad Dublin accent.
Would you kindly? I can even hear. No, that was worse the second time. Would you kindly? I can't do it now. I'm trying now. I don't know what that was. That was just bolt flat. But the fact I can hear it, maybe not do it, but I can hear it all those years later, and I know an Irishman. You're someone who has you haven't lost your accent.
I hope not.
But you know what I mean. Some people it's very obvious. Colin Ahern is an Irishman.
I am.
But it's not. Again, you're not like bagosh bagar and all that, and it sounds like you say. It sounds stupid. It shouldn't be noticeable.
It's that attention to detail from a studio, from an American studio, which normally, a lot of the time they don't.
English. I'm having a cup of tea.
Exactly.
I'm Irish now, and I'm going to have myself some. Yeah, absolutely, and they still do it.
Yeah,
games still do that, or films and TV still do it. Like, hey man, do you want a cup of tea? Oh, I'd love a cup of tea. Thank you very much, Tarquil. Like games, they still do it. And this is all that time ago. And this
is so long ago that BioShock didn't.
And not to really waylay the point, but something like that, something like Ciri being bisexual in The Witcher 3, shouldn't be a big deal.
Spoilers for The Witcher 3.
Well, it's not story consequential. It's just that's the whole point. You don't even know.
That's
true.
It's almost
that
is
irrelevant.
True.
But that should not be anything. In the same way that Would You Kindly shouldn't be, he's Irish. Because he's been going on about
potatoes.
You said it. I didn't want to.
Whatever, potatoes, Guinness. I know, exactly.
But he doesn't, because he just happens to be Irish.
Yeah.
It's almost like they had a casting session and they we got these people to, I've forgotten his bloody name now. Atlas, of course it is Atlas. Atlas is on Atlas is his lines. Some bloke comes in, would you kindly do this? It doesn't feel right, would you kindly? And he does all the rest of the lines, and it's like, he's the best man for the part.
Yeah.
He just happens to be Irish.
BioShock has one black mark against it, and it is the last boss. Which
I'd say the ending.
What?
I'd say the ending itself.
The entire sequence. Well, I mean, the reveal is fantastic.
See,
the Frank Fontaine Atlas reveal is incredible.
I actually played BioShock Infinite through, and then there was an achievement. I think I got 1,000 game score on it because there was an achievement for doing it without using is it revitalization chamber? How you would because you can't. The thing about BioShock,
they're Vita chambers in Infinite,
and something whatever the equivalent is, it might be the same thing. And you basically don't die and start a chapter. You just come back from there. And I think there was an achievement for doing it without dying. So basically without using one of those. And I remember doing that, and that last boss, that ruined it. It was not a fun fight, and
it was just I remember when I was just pelting him with bullets constantly. I think I can't remember what plasmid, but it was just one plasmid constantly and one gun, whatever powerful weapon I had, and BioShock didn't need that.
Nope.
It didn't really need that, and it had the weird cutscene at the end as well.
That felt like they just forgot to finish it. And again, Quantum Break does that, which is so strange to think that 10 years on, or more, or less, has the same thing where it's a solid game throughout, then throws a shit end boss at you, and would you learn nothing from the past?
I suppose I haven't played Quantum Break yet. Maybe we can't really compare the two. Like BioShock is genuinely, I think of the three, BioShock is the best.
I think BioShock's very clearly number one on the list so far. Yeah. So that makes BioShock at this point the best game of all time. The issue is where do we put two? And I think Gears goes number 2.
That was easy.
Yeah, well,
yeah, completely.
I don't think it's going to maintain this level of ease. I think
no. Gears of War 2, Uncharted 3, Simply because of
Not the games.
no,
That's the
Gears of
list.
War 2, Uncharted 3. Simply because of the fact that, I suppose for all the reasons that we just previously stated, like, Gears of War was just that cover system was just exceptional. The active reload, as you said. Uncharted, whilst I suppose, like, and this is coming from someone who played Gears of War and BioShock after the fact. Uncharted was, in terms of set pieces, in terms of characterization, really, really good fun.
I might have to pull you up on that a little bit. I'm not so sure I agree. I can't remember any of the set pieces in Uncharted aside from cutscene involving a crashed boat or submarine. Whereas in Gears of War,
Maybe I'm kind of molding Uncharted here. Yeah, to be fair.
But whereas in Gears of War, I mean, again, we're kind of arguing against our own point. We've already agreed. But just for the record, like in Gears of War, Krill.
See, I liked that.
See, conversely, people always say about General Ram as the last
I
boss.
didn't like him as a boss.
Didn't mind that.
Didn't like him at all.
I thought it was
very difficult.
Okay, I was
Annoyingly
easy,
so.
given how he appears the first time you see him as this hulking thing, just like straight through, slice, you're dead, you're one's going to kill me, and then you just kill him.
I found him exceptionally difficult, if I remember correctly.
It's another game I went through. See, this is a common theme. I went through BioShock more than once. Gears of War I've gone through God knows how many times, but I went through it on like that, whatever it was, Insanity or Hardcore, in co-op with friends. Great in co-op. As Uncharted, I can't remember playing that first one more than about once.
Like, it's very much an introduction to Nate, to Sully, to Elena.
Yeah.
And it's a nice introduction, but like, you look at things, although to be fair, I don't think Uncharted got this right until the third one.
Right.
But I don't think that the main baddies in Uncharted, I thought they were awful, completely forgettable.
Well, they're kind of stymied by the fact they have to be human people.
I disagree with that.
Okay.
Look at Frank Fontaine. Like,
Yeah,
or like look
fair.
at or Ryan or whatever. Like, do you know,
Yeah,
like
fair.
the original BioShock. Oh my god! Actually, look, we could go the original BioShock with the stage in the theater.
Oh god.
Oh my god! What an
I think what his
exceptional
name
game!
was.
It's set in stone, Adam. BioShock 1, Gears of War 2, Gears of War 2nd,
Yeah.
3rd, Uncharted.
Third place is Uncharted,
Yeah.
the first game. Do you know what? Also, seriously, I'd love to see in the comments just a load of people put in there 1, 2, and 3, and then after the next episode, when there's perhaps another 3 games and we've got a list of 6, which is when it's going to get tough.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was easier than we thought it would be. Next time when we do stuff that's really good as well, because I think Uncharted was remembered as a great game. I think there's a lot of games that will slip in above that quite comfortably.
Above Uncharted?
Yeah, I think so, quite comfortably.
Yeah, I would say so.
I really do. We'd love to see your lists. Every episode, get in there and stick your lists.
Mm-hmm. Do.
And if you want to tell us why, maybe we can read some of them out or something in the next episode.
Potentially.
He's been Colin Mahone.
I have been Colin Mahern. He's been Adam Cook.
I have.
Bye.